Hello and assalamu alaikum, Doctor and everyone. So this is Group 3 and we will be doing our presentation about filtration. The group members are Nasser, Hesham, Salman Ahmed, Muhammad, and also Qanaan. So we will start our presentation by telling you about what is filtration and why do we use this kind of equipment. So starting with the definition of filtration, filtration principles came from the solid liquid separation, and liquid principles are two. The first one is when solids tends to go one way and liquids to the other way, which is called separation. The second principle is when we use a porous medium for the separation and capturing the solids from liquids, and this is called the filtration. So why do we use this kind of equipment? The first reason is to recover a valuable solids component where the liquid will be discarded. And the second one is when we recover the liquid and the solid will be discarded. And the third one is when we want to recover both the solids and liquids. And the last one is when we don't want to recover any of them, but we just want to like purify the liquid before we dump it into the environment to prevent the water pollution, for example. Terms to know about the filtration, starting with the slurry. The slurry is here is the feed, whether it's pure liquid with a little bit of solids or a mixture of both. The second one is the filter medium, which is the porous medium that we use to separate or capture the solids. And the third one is the filter cake, which is the accumulated solids on the filter. And the last one is the filtrate, that is the liquid that passes through the filtration medium. So now we move to the next part.
Okay. For the first part, this is the type of filters, and there's several types for filters or filtration that occur. And we take these parts based on the pressure used or based in the operating of the filtration. So the first part or the first type is a vacuum pre-coat filters or rotatory vacuum pre-coat filters, which is basically designed to filter a wide variety of high solid liquids that would otherwise blend or block other types of filters. And there are several advantages for this type specifically, namely the rotatory vacuum filter is a continuous and automatic operation, so the operating cost is a little bit low, and the variation of drum speed rotating can be used to control the cake thickness. The process can be easily modified, as well as it can produce relatively clean product by adding a showering device. There are several disadvantages as well for this type of process, which are due to the structure, the pressure difference is theoretically limited to the atmosphere pressure one. And besides the drum, other accessories, for example, agitators, should be used and required. And the discharge cake contains residual moisture as well as high energy consumption by the vacuum pump is required. So next. So the other type is a filter leaves type, which is a pressure leaf filter. That's vertically a vessel with filter leaves inside. The leaves are mounted vertically on a common manifold pipe through which the filtered liquid flows out. And there's advantage as well, which is specifically for this exact type, which are no spillage as a result of the closed or compact operation. The cloth or woven mesh screens that cover the leaves or horizontal tank may be accessed easily and can be cleaned or repaired. High productivity due to high rate of filtration, as well as cheap and economical operation cost. And there are disadvantages as well for this type, which are high headroom is required for dismantling, large floor space, the empty of the vessel in between cake filtration is a little bit complicated and requires more handling and caring of the machine. Okay, next part.
Now, plate and frame filters mainly used these experiments to describe the permeability of the membrane. In some cases, models are stacked together like multi-layers, sandwich or plate and frame filter press. The advantage of this model, first of all, low hold up volume, remote for individual membrane element, easy to fabricate, area of the membrane as well defined. The disadvantage for plate and frame filters, difficult to clean, susceptible to plugging, and the last one, it has high cost.
Hello, doctor. So I'm going to talk about the type of filter, especially the cross-flow filtration. And this type of filtration is used in the chemical engineering, biochemical engineering, and also protein purification. So I'm going to talk about the ultrafiltration. So the ultrafiltration is a variety of membrane filtration in which force, like pressure or concentration, radiate lead to a separate through membrane. So there are several advantages and disadvantages. The advantage like low operation pressure, low energy consumption, few manual action required, and also it's relatively cheap than the other type of filtration. Disadvantage, only remove suspended matter and bacteria, and also it's sensitive to oxidative chemical like nitric acid and sulfuric acid, and also damage may occur when trying to prevent hard and sharp particles, especially when the particle size is more than 0.1 millimeter. So the other type of filtration next. The other type of the cross-flow filtration is the micro porous filtration, and this type of filtration involves the hard water being passed through a very small pore membrane, and various substances are sieved. And there are several advantages and disadvantages for this type of filtration. The advantage is like low operating pressure required, and also low energy consumption, and quality of the produced product is not determined by the management. So and the disadvantage of this type of filtration is only suspended matter and bacteria removed, also sensitive to oxidative chemical, and also membrane damage if raised pressure is in excess of 1 bar. That's all for me. Next.
Okay, thank you. For the filtration mechanism, so let's just explain about the most widely used of filtration in the fermentation process, which is continuous rotating filter. So firstly, the drum is covered with a layer of pre-coat, and a small amount is of filter aid is added to the broth before the broth goes to the drum. And then the thin layer of seal adheres to the drum by rotating under a specific vacuum. In the section of forming cake, a thickness of a seal layer is increasing, where the layer of salt is washed and passing to the discharge section. The knife cuts off the cake. Then the vacuum inside the drum provides a driving force to push up the filtrate and air to flow. So the flow rate of the rate of filtration for a vacuum filtration can be determined by the following equation, where the dB over dt, the volume flow rate, actually equals to Kc multiplied in the pressure drop in the area of the filter, divided by the resistance times the viscosity of the filtrate. Where actually the resistance of the cake equals to alpha, which is the average specific resistance of the cake, multiplied in the total cake weight divided by the area of the filtrate. Where actually the total weight can be, the total weight of the cake filter can be also related to the weight of the cake actually can be related to the total cake weight by the following equation, equation 3. So substituting equation 3 and 2 in equation 1 to get the following equation, which is this equation 4, and integrating equation 4 by a volume from 0 to V and time from time 0 to time t to obtain this linear this equation. This equation also can be linearized to obtain the final equation, which is equation 7. This equation 7 actually can be used to perform and to obtain a linear, a straight line. This line actually has a slope of 1 over k and intercept of 2 v naught over k. So from this line, we can actually determine the k and v0. After we determine the k and v naught, so then we can calculate the resistance and the specific, the average specific resistance of the cake. So that's all about the mechanism.
To conclude our presentation, filtration is very significant in the industry and widely used. So here is a few applications that used in the industry. Firstly is the powder processing. Secondly, water purification, which is a process of removing undesirable chemicals, biological contaminants, and suspended all solids and gases from water. Sewage treatment, and also for fire filtration and processing of liquids, and plastic processing, which is called dedusting. So now we are going to finish our presentation. Thank you, Doctor. Thank you for everyone.